Hey everybody, David here, and this is another Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition class breakdown, and this particular breakdown involves the baseline Druid class features. Now, the Druid is a traditional class from Dungeons & Dragons. You can use the Druid a multitude of ways. You can use the Druid as a healer type of class. You can use it as a melee type of class with certain spells like Shillelagh. Or you could actually go into a more newer type of Druid, which is a wild shape type of form, and change into different beasts. And depending on the different Druid circle that you choose, it can help either your spellcasting abilities or your wild shape abilities. Now, as for races, you're going to want to choose something wisdom based because your main stat for the Druid is wisdom. Now you could go with the human, you could go with like a half elf, you could go with a dwarf, anything that has a wisdom bonus, but just make sure you play what you want to play because it ultimately is your character and you're the one having fun playing it. So let's take a look at the basic class features for the Druid. Now you're going to get a 1d8 hit point per level, so you're going to start at max hit points at 8 plus your constitution modifier. Now for your levels after level 1, you can do one of two things depending on what your dungeon master, what he or she wants you to do. You can roll the 1d8 or you can take the flat status 5, and don't forget to add in your constitution modifier. Now the Druid has quite a few proficiencies. They can wear light armor, medium armor, shields, but remember this, Druids will never wear anything like armor or shields that are made of metal. So look for other types of materials besides metal. So that could pose a little bit of a problem for you. Now weapons, the Druids can use clubs, daggers, darts, javelins, maces, quarterstaffs, scimitars, sickles, slings, and spears. So there's a good variety from melee to throwing weapons. Now you're also going to get a herbalism kit tool, so you'll be able to, as you're doing, working your herbalism kit, you'll be able to add your proficiency bonus as the bonus for having the tool. Now for saving throws, you'll be proficient in both intelligence and wisdom saving throws, so you'll be adding your proficiency bonus and take into consideration that they will level as you level, meaning the proficiency bonus that you'll add. Now the skills, you'll get to choose 2 from Arcana, Animal Handling, Insight, Medicine, Nature, Perception, Religion, and Survival. So a great assortment to choose from. And the 2 that you choose, they'll also have your proficiency bonus added in. And like the saving throws, the proficiency bonus will make those skill checks increase over time. Now, starting equipment. The Druid has 2 options. First off, you can take a flat 2d4 times 10. And if you take the flat 2d4 times 10, then you are responsible for buying all of the armor, all of your weapons, everything that you need, your toolkit, you'll be responsible for it. Now, you can go with the standard option, like what is down here in the bottom right-hand corner. You can start with the following equipment. Now, also, when you choose a background, you will get another assortment of equipment to choose from with a little bit of coin as well. So I think going with the equipment option is probably your better choice because it gives you, like a shield, a weapon, maybe some ranged weapons like maybe some darts or something, and then it'll give you armor. And then your background usually gives you your different equipment. What kind of traveler's pack do you want, or do you want a scholar's pack? So it's just up to you ultimately, though. Now, as for the Druid itself and the class features, you'll see that you got your proficiency bonus like we were talking about with your toolkit, your saving throws, and your skills. Starting at level 1, it is a +2, and then eventually it'll work up to a +6 by the time you're level 17. So you'll get a +6 at the end on all your skills, saving throw, and tools. So it's really nice. It's universal. It's with every single class in D&D 5e. So now the other features you're going to see, you got a whole multitude of things, and we're going to go over each and every one of these class features. And then you can see that the Druid is a traditional type of caster. So you can see that you'll get the cantrips, and you'll also be able to cast spells from level 1 to level 9. So let's go ahead and look at the spell casting for the Druid. Now, there's some rules that you have to worry about. And first off, I want to show you the spell list. So you can see that although you have 8 cantrips, you have a multitude of spells at your disposal for the Druid from levels 1 to level 9. And like I said, they are a traditional type of spell casting class where you will have to have a pool of spells to cast from, being your daily pool of memorized spells. Now, your cantrips, they're separate from these. You do not have to worry about that. The cantrips, you just get to choose. And then over time, as you level, you'll gain additional Druid cantrips. And like I said, these can be cast every single level, and they will not expend one of your spell slots. So, let's get into the spell casting abilities. You have to worry about, like I said, first off, your primary stat is Wisdom for the Druid. And thankfully, your Wisdom modifier deals with your spell save DC and your attack modifier. So your spell save DC is a base of 8 plus your proficiency bonus, which will scale to your level, and your Wisdom modifier, which should also scale to your level as well, depending on if you put ability score improvements into your Wisdom. Now, the spell save DC is basically a target number that the creatures will have to make their saving throw against. So it's going to be a higher number. It's going to start in the low teens at level 2. Or level 1, and then it will eventually scale up to about 17, 18, or 19. So that's something to look forward to. Now for your spell attack modifier, that is just your proficiency bonus and your Wisdom modifier, and both of those different stats will also increase as you level. So you're going to start with a low spell attack modifier. It's sort of like the same thing as a weapon attack modifier, but this is a spell attack modifier, and it's used for spells that require you make a to-hit roll against the AC. So those are your 2 different spell casting abilities. You're also going to be able to cast rituals. The rituals, if a spell is tagged ritual, certain spells are tagged rituals, certain spells you cannot cast as rituals. So if it is tagged as a ritual casting spell, then you will add 10 minutes to the casting time, and that will be the cast time of that spell. Now when you do cast a spell as a ritual, it does not expend one of your spell slots. So that's a good thing about ritual casting. And lastly, the spell casting focus works like this. It does not give you any kind of bonus to hit. What the spell casting focus does is it gives you all of your components to satisfy the material part of the spell cast that you're making. Now note this. If a spell has a monetary value type of item, like the spell identify, you have to have a 100 gold piece diamond, your spellcasting focus will not count towards that. So it will satisfy all of the minor things like bat guano or witch's eyebrow or something like that, minor things. It will not satisfy, like I said, anything with a gold piece or monetary value type of material. So resurrections later on, there's different ones, and they can go from anywhere between, I think, 500 to 25,000 gold pieces, depending on which spell you choose and which focus stone or gem that you have. So that's a spell casting focus, and if you decide not to have a spell casting focus, then you can go ahead and get a spell component pouch, and that will act as the same thing as using a spell casting focus. So the last thing with spell casting, everyone, I was mentioning that you're going to have a daily pool of spells. Now there's 2 things that you really need to worry about, and this gets confused a lot with spellcasting in general in D&D 5e. So you have your spell slots. Your spell slots are the actual power of the spell that you can expend the spell slot. So if you want to cast the first level Cure Wounds spell, then you would expend a level 1 spell slot to cast that spell. Now to be able to cast that spell, that Cure Wounds spell that you want to heal your fighter with, you have to have in your daily pool of spells Cure Wounds at your disposal. Now, take into consideration, you see all these different spells. You don't have these at your disposal. Now, starting at level 1, you'll get to cast a number of spells a day in your daily pool pool, your druid level and your wisdom modifier. So if you have a +3 wisdom modifier, at level 1 you'll be able to have 4 spells from level 1 in your spell pool. So you can take that, Cure Wounds, or you can take Healing Word, or you can take Entangle, and you won't be able to cast anything else except for the 4 spells that you choose. And every level you'll gain more. As you level, it goes to 2 plus your wisdom modifier. Then if you're level 10, you'll have 10 spells and your wisdom modifier. And it's not per level, it's total. So if you're level 5, then you'll only be able to cast X amount of spells up to level 3, because at level 5 you will get the ability to, you'll be able to cast level 3 skip spells. So you want to choose your spells between 1st, 2nd, and 3rd for that number, which is going to be level 5 Druid plus your wisdom modifier. So you'll have a total of 8 spells between 1st, 2nd, 3rd. So I just wanted to explain that. There's a lot of confusion about that, and a lot of people get that mixed up. So that is spell casting for the Druid. Now, also for the Druid, you are going to get Wild Shape. And Wild Shape is, at level 1 you're going to get Druidic. And Druidic is basically the secret language of the Druids. And this means that you can speak the language and use it to leave hidden messages. If you want to leave something for later and mark it, or if you want to leave messages for other druids, you can do that. Now, you and others who know this language automatically spot the message, and others that spot the message present may have a chance with maybe a DC 15 wisdom perception check, or the DM may want to raise that up a little bit, because the language of the druids is a pretty rare language. So, and if they can find out what it is with the DC check with wisdom perception, then it can't be deciphered unless it is deciphered with magic. So let's go ahead and go to level 2, Wild Shape. Wild Shape is a really good feature for D&D 5e druids, and this can also get a little confusing as well. So we'll go over this and break everything down for you. So you're going to be able to use your action to magically assume the shape of a beast that you have seen before. Now, you can use this feature twice, and then if you use them both, then you have to finish a short or long rest to be able to use Wild Shape 2 more times. Now, your Druid level determines what challenge rating beast you can transform into the shapes table down below. So, if you're a 2nd level Druid, the maximum challenge rating beast that you can transform into is something like a wolf, and it can't have any kind of flying or swimming capabilities. That's a limitation for it. When you're level 4, you cannot have anything higher than a 1/2 challenge rating, and now it only has no flying speed. So now you can swim. So an example would be a crocodile. Now, level 8, you can have a maximum challenge rating of 1. There's no more limitations, and an example is a giant eagle. Pretty straightforward. Now, you can stay in your beast shape, in your Wild Shape form, for a number of hours equal to half your Druid level, and then you round that down. And then you revert to your normal form unless you expend another use of the feature, and then you can continue to be in that form for a number of hours equal to half your Druid level, round it down again. So you can also use a bonus action to revert to your normal self, but you will also revert to your normal self if you fall unconscious, or if you drop to 0, or if you die outright. So here's some rules that apply to you when you are using Wild Shape and when you are in a beast shape of your choice. First off, your game statistics are replaced by the statistics of the beast, but you will retain certain things like your alignment, your personality, your intelligence, wisdom, and charisma scores. So you'll gain the beast abilities of strength, dexterity, and concentration. You'll keep your intelligence, wisdom, and charisma scores. Now, you will also retain all of your skill and saving throw proficiencies as a druid, in addition to gaining any of the other bonuses that your beast shape would give you. Now take into consideration, if the beast shape has a higher score, then you will use that score and not add them together. So you will not be adding proficiency bonus together. You'll take the highest, whether it's from your core wild shape, your core druid, or if the actual creature itself will give you the higher number. You choose, you get to use the higher one. So one last thing, very important here. If your creature has any kind of layer actions or legendary actions, you just simply cannot use them. Now, when you transform, you assume the beast hit points and hit dice. Now, you'll be rolling hit points when you get this, unless your DM tells you to choose the static number that it has also. Alright, so when you revert back to your normal form, you will return to the number of hit points you had before you transformed. Now, however, if you revert back to yourself and you've taken damage, then you're going to need to take that damage as you go back into your other form. So if your animal had a total of 10 hit points, you took 9, you have 1 hit point left in wolf form. If you revert back to your racial form, and you have, say, if you have 20 hit points, then you're going to need to take that 9 damage off of your 20, so you'll have 11. So there you go, it's pretty straightforward. Another rule is you cannot cast spells while you're in wild shape form. Now, there are certain abilities that come later on for the druid, and also an archetype, the circle of the moon, that will allow you to do more things with wild shape. So base wild shape, you're restricted, you cannot cast spells, and your ability to speak or take any actions that require your hands is limited to the capabilities of your beast form. So also, transforming doesn't break your concentration on a spell if you've already cast it. However, you can go into the form and it will prevent you from taking actions that are part of a spell, such as like Call Lightning. Seeing that you've already cast it, that will already take an effect as you transfer into your B-shaped form. So another rule is you retain the benefit of any features from your class, race, or other source, and can use them if the new form is physically capable of doing so. However, you cannot use any of your special senses, such as dark vision, unless the new form has it. So, if you're a human, you don't have dark vision, but if you have a beast that has dark vision, then you'll kind of get like a bonus, and then you'll be able to see in darkness. So that's a pretty nice rule also. Now, you get to choose. This is another one that gets confused a lot with wild shape. So you can choose whether your equipment falls to the ground in your space, if it merges into your new wild shape beast form, or your beast is actually wearing the gear. So this is up to you as you declare you're changing into your beast form for wild shape. Just make it easy on yourself and just kind of form it into the new form that you're taking the wild shape form of. But if you decide that you don't want to, if you want to wear the equipment, go for it. But if you have a big longbow, it's not going to change to the size of your creature. It's going to stay the same size. So, and also take into consideration the DM will decide whether it's practical or not for your new creature form to wear a piece of equipment. So there you go. That's it for wild shape. That's baseline. You can do a lot more with wild shape later as the druid levels, and also by taking the circle of the moon class archetype. So that's wild shape. Next, you're going to get to choose your druid circle. Your druid circle is the archetype that you get to choose from. Now, you're going to have two different choices. The first is the Circle of the Land, which is more of a spell-casting type of archetype for the druid, or you can take Circle of the Moon, which I've already mentioned several times with wild shape. That is more based on wild shape itself. And as you take these two Depending on the circle that you choose, you'll gain more features, again, here at level 2, level 6, level 10, level 14. So, next, you're going to see that you get multiple Druid ability score improvements. You'll get one at 4, 8, 12, 16, and 19. And ability score improvements do one of two things. First, you can do an ability score improvement and increase your ability scores by 2. You can raise one by 2, or you can increase 2 individual stats by 1 apiece. Now, if your Dungeon Master allows, you can go to Chapter 6 in the Player's Handbook, and if he or she allows you to take a feat, an optional feat, then you can take the feat. But if you do take the feat, then you will not get your ability score improvement. So it's either you want to get your ability score improvement to raise your stats, or you can take a feat. So you get to choose. That's if your Dungeon Master, allows you to do that. Next is going to be Timeless Body, which is a nice passive feature. And the primal magic that you wield causes you to age more slowly. So for every 10 years that passes, your body ages only 1 year. Pretty straightforward, no need to explain that. I like that. So your Druid can last quite a while. Next are beast spells. So here, this is going to add on to your wild shape that you got at level 2. So when you get this at level 18, you can cast many of your Druid spells in any shape you assume using wild shape. So now, base level 2 wild shape says you cannot cast spells. So now at level 8, beast spells is allowing you to cast many of your Druid spells. Not all of them, but many of them. Now you can perform the somatic and verbal components. Somatic is waving your hands. Verbal components is talking the command words. So that is where you can use the beast spells will perform the somatic and verbal components while in a beast shape. But if it has any kind of material component value to the spell, then beast spells will not work. So anything, it just will not work. So that's beast spells. Pretty straightforward. And last you're going to get, at level 20, you're going to get Arc Druid. And this is when you can use your wild shape an unlimited number of times a day. Remember, at level 2 when you got wild shape, you can only change 2 times. Now at level 20, it doesn't matter how many times you change shape. It just doesn't matter. Now there's another nice perk too. Additionally, you can ignore the verbal and somatic components of your Druid spells, as well as any material components that lack a cost and aren't consumed by a spell. Straightforward. You will gain this benefit in both your normal shape and your beast shape. So now, from 18, now you get Arc Druid at level 20, and casting spells even gets better. So there you go. That is the baseline Druid. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please feel free to leave a comment down below. I will answer your comments. Now, I have 840 character sheets for Dungeons & Dragons 5e on my website, tabletopping.net. If you haven't gone over there and check it out yet, if you want to play a Druid, I have every single level, 1 through 20, every single class, from the Bard to the Sorcerer, every archetype, from the Evocation Wizard to the Champion Fighter. 840 sheets. So check it out. Download one. They're in nice 3-page PDF formats. Take it to your game. Try it out. Thank you guys again for watching. I appreciate it. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Leave a comment below. And I'll see you next time.